My name is Ian Walsh. I'm with Hard Money Bankers. We're doing Masters of the Markets here, where we take a look at people in the business that have different perspectives and can offer the listeners and the viewers a chance to see what they've seen in the markets, what they're doing with their business, and how they're going to move forward with it. And we're trying to find people that are extremely successful experts in their specific field that can offer that insight, because each market, you have your general real estate market, and then you have sub-markets of that, which individually, make up the big market. And as a lender from Hard Money Bankers, I like to make sure that I have my finger on the pulse for, whether it's guys that are flipping, guys that are doing turnkey, guys that are doing rentals, whatever it may be. I'd like to keep a pulse on the market. So today, I invited a very special guest, my ex-business partner, fantastic guy. His name is Josh Weidman. Josh comes from a background of he's done probably over 1,000 deals at this point, Josh, when he added them all up.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, but he's doing it for a while, and he's seen the cycles of the markets. And the reason Josh has a very unique perspective today is because he does a model of business called turnkey investing, so Josh is going to see from start to finish. He's going to see the sourcing. He's very good at sourcing properties, knowing the prices he has to get them under contract for, renovating them, and then selling them, and then putting them under management. So he sees it from start to finish, and he does a lot of these projects in the area. So I'm very interested in what he has to say about the current market and where it's going. So Josh, welcome to Masters of the Markets.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Ian.
Yeah.
Love the opportunity. It's always good to talk to you, man.
Sure. Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything about, or anything that you wanted to say about yourself?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm just happy to be, part of the Masters of the Market. It's pretty cool.
Sure.
So yeah, we're talking about the market. I mean, it's really interesting we both got into real estate about the same time, late 2006, early 2007, and it's been interesting to see the cycle of real estate. I can remember talking to a veteran when I first got in and lamenting that I didn't have an opportunity to make all this money in 2006, when properties were at the height. And he said, just relax. It'll come back around, and here it is. We're 10 years later, and you can kind of see the cycle coming back to the top of the market. It's really hot with flips and real demand for good quality properties.
I agree. And we I know I've discussed this with you off camera, but we see certain telltale signs that we both see the first time around. So we know it's coming. We don't know what's going to be the trigger or the catalyst, but there are unique signs in the market right now that we're seeing. And it doesn't mean the top is here tomorrow, but it means be cautious, right? So so tell me, from your particular perspective and what you do in terms of turnkey and the stuff, and sourcing properties, what do you see right now specifically in the market and the conditions that you're seeing?
Well, in order to answer your question, I want to explain a little bit about what we do. I mean, you touched on it a little. I mean, we've got two unique products that we work with our investors on.
Okay.
The first is, we go out, we find discounted properties, renovate them with some pretty significant renovations, put in quality tenants, and then we turn over the property to management, and it ends up being a real hands-off investment. Hence the turnkey model. It's like, you got a key, you turn it over, and you're done. Okay.
Right.
On the flip side, some of our investors are looking for more of a short-term model, because with the first model, I always tell my investors, short-term is 5 years. Short-term with a rental property, 5 years. 10 years is a good window that lets you ride the crest and the top and bottom of the marketplace. On the flip side, some of our investors want something that's a little bit more short-term, and they've been investing with us as in our flips. And so we've got those two different models. And so as far as sourcing the properties and as far as exit strategy and timeframes,
sure,
you really it makes a difference in the market. So when we're looking at our turnkey properties, if we're at the top of the market or the bottom of the market, it doesn't matter all that much if you're looking at that longer time frame. What you got to be concerned of is, are you getting the property with equity in it? Number one, are these properties going to be things that are going to cash flow and you're going to make money every month on it? And are they going to be? Are you going to be in a position with them that you're not behind the eight ball? Like I know that when we used to manage properties, when we started our business, we had a lot of people that came to us with beat up properties that they bought at the height of the market that needed a ton of construction, and they were underwater.
Yep.
You got to make sure that the renovations you're doing are really good, so that for 10 years, you don't really have to worry about any major expenses on that end. And so like that's kind of, I don't know, that's what we do, and that's what I advise people that are buying rentals to look at. And also not to really so much worry about what today's prices are, where we are in the market, as long as you're looking at a long enough time frame, and depending on how you're buying. And what I mean there is, like, if you're buying in an LLC, you look at a commercial rental product or a commercial financing product that is going to have resets in a much shorter time frame than if you get a 30-year fixed rate. With the rates the way they are today, you want to keep them as long as you can, a long enough time frame.
Historic lows, right? Yeah,
that's right. It's insane. Now, on the flip side, on the shorter term investments, it really matters. When you're doing a flip, you're investing your money there. It really matters that you're buying at a big enough discount that if we have a correction, I might not make any money on the flip, but I'm not going to lose money. That's a big deal, and I know that you're always protecting your investors' money. When you're lending, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah.
We can have some guesses. Like, I'm guessing that we're probably going to see an 8 to 10% correction in the marketplace. Last spring we had some really aggressive gains in the retail market, and I'm seeing, and especially in some neighborhoods in Philly, I'm seeing areas that I bought for $35,000, last January, that I'd love to get something on the same block for $95,000.
Really? No kidding. Wow.
Specifically South Philly. There's a lot of.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
But long story short, I think that there's a lot more people that are getting into the market right now, and that always gives me pause.
Yeah, sure. It's it's the market. It's like the cycle of it's like nature, right? Like nature always kind of cleanses itself. Well, It's like the financial version of nature. So, the more of a cleansing that the market may need to knock people out. So I get it. I see the same stuff that you see. And give me some overview. I know you and I had a very paralleled venture in business and in real estate, but what are some things that you noticed that were different from like 2008 and what you saw from 2008, 2009, 2010 to like today? Like what are the differences in that kind of market that you've seen?
Okay, so I see a lot of similarities, mainly because these were the things that I was paying attention to in 2006. Now I'm in retrospect. There are things that are coming up that so for instance, what are some things that are different? I think that lenders and banks are being a lot more cautious than they were 10 years ago, which is a good thing. But there's still some lending products out there that are a little bit more aggressive than I'd like to see.
Sure, right.
It is what it is. There's a lot of new home buyer products that are a little bit iffy. But all in all, I think that even consumers with some of the more predatory lending stuff that was out there, those products aren't around, and I think people are a little bit more cautious when they're buying a home, and they realize that, hey, look, it's not this pie in the sky, we're just handing you free money type of free ride. People got so hurt in 2008 to 2010, and lost their homes, were homeless, like total financial destruction, that I think that people realize. We all are a little bit short-sighted, but I think that was a big enough of a scar or a big enough pain for our country that people are a little bit more cautious, I guess. People
didn't forget, they still feel it. And I agree with that. I see that same thing too. I think that's a good way to put it, is that there's a certain amount of, people's blinders aren't on yet. They're not fully on. They still have that wound that they can look at and remember, which is good though. I think we want to learn from that. I don't think that people in the next cycle are going to remember that. At the top of the next cycle, they're not going to know about 2008, so that'll be fresh. But right now, I do think there is. So hopefully, the ideal situation, right, would be there's going to be a correction. It's not overnight, and it's a little steadier, and it comes down. But we had that crazy election in the past 48 hours. Who knows where it's going to be? It was hopefully volatility is low, and but we don't know. So let me ask you this. So knowing this stuff is coming, and with your particular business model and so forth,
sure,
what are you doing to adjust or make changes to either hedge or protect yourself? What moves are you making over the next, call it 5 years, to make sure that, knowing what you know now, what that's going to do?
I'm going to start with the first 6 months if I can.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
you know, I think this next 6 to 12 months is going to be a very telling time in the market. And because of that, I mean, we have slowed significantly taking on new clients. And, you know, we cap out because of we've got a pretty high standard for our construction, and because of that, we cap out with the number of contractors that we can have working on our properties. So what we're going to do is work with more and more, or fewer and fewer investors, but investors that are looking at taking on 10 to 15 units over the course of the next year, so that, you know, it's more of a one-to-one, a one-on-one relationship, as opposed to having, you know, 500 clients that are each buying one property from us. You know.
Gotcha.
I'm doing that also because I think that a lot of people that can afford to buy one property are in a very volatile position. If that, you know, if you've got $100,000 or $75,000 that you're putting into a property, and halfway through construction, you know, the market changes, you know, you're expecting to take a lot of your money out and refinance, but you can't do it. That could have a very big negative impact. And, you know, thankfully we have enough demand that I'm able to kind of pick the clients that we're working with. So that's for in the immediate future. In addition, I'm focusing a lot more in the next 12 months on retailing properties, so fix and flips, and saving as much money as possible. Because one thing I kicked myself, you know, looking back in 2010 in properties that we could have bought for pennies on the dollar.
Oh, no. It's so hard to do that, play that game. Gosh, some of this stuff now, yeah.
Exactly. I'm preparing myself to really take advantage of that. And, you know, I'm still picking up rentals. I just bought one yesterday, but it's more, you know, cherry picking the deals that it's like, you know, this is a great deal. I'm able to take money out at settlement and rehab it and get a great return. But it's, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to cherry pick in the next 6 to 12 months and build up my cash reserve, so that in the next 5 years, I'm positioned in a spot where I can really take advantage of some of the discounts that I think are going to be in the market.
So that's very interesting. So I mean, it is what it is, but we're going to call, I know exactly what you're saying. So if you remember correctly, if you think about it now, when you had wholesaled back in 2008 and 2009, and now you look back at the buyers back then, what had happened was all of the big fish came out, and I mean, there was blood in the streets, so people, you know, came out to make money, and the big guys came out and they were buying as much as they can. They knew where they were, and they came out and bought at discounts.
Yeah.
And these guys still buy, right? But they're not out there chumming it. You know, we're not chumming anymore, so they kind of, the sharks went back to sleep a little bit. I know they still buy, but they were out. I remember that. So I think what you're saying is you're positioning yourself to say, hey, when the correction happens, I want to be there to make sure that I get it. So interesting. So good. Do you have anything that you want to leave the people with today? Any either tips, things they should understand, particular maybe to your business model, or anything in general that people can take away from this that you think is really important right now?
Well, one thing that I've really noticed that really paralleled our business 10 years ago, the wholesaling, is that there's a lot more new investors getting into the market, getting into wholesaling, and it's one thing that I made some adjustments for my business. You know, we used to do an awful lot of direct marketing to sellers.
Sure, yeah.
And we've geared back on that specifically because there's so much competition out there that, and so many people that don't necessarily know what they're doing, that then negotiations just get silly, you know. And wholesalers are asking for a lot more than a property's worth because they don't understand where the market is. I would just, I'd counsel to people that if you're looking at a property, trust your gut, look at the numbers. I mean, numbers do not lie. If your calculations for a renovation are $100,000, but the wholesaler's telling you it's 65 grand, it's 100,000. It's probably 120.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, you gotta trust your numbers, trust the facts. You can't buy on tomorrow's numbers. You can't buy on what happened yesterday. You got to look at what today's numbers look like, what the important really what the important numbers are for you. If you're buying and holding for a long term, you know, maybe today's value doesn't matter as much as the cash flow, and you know, if you're buying with equity, that's great. But if you're looking at a short exit, you know, of less than 5 years, put yourself at a disadvantage, hoping that the neighborhood gets better or projecting an expansion of a neighborhood.
Gotcha. It's good advice and well noted. So Josh, where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you or yeah,
Absolutely. You can go to our website. It's turnkeyphilly.com.
Okay.
We've got a bunch of information on there about our process, how we work. As I mentioned before, we're working more on a one-on-one basis. The first step in our process is to schedule a 15-minute call where we go over just the basics of our process and our program.
Okay.
And from there, we'll take you through the whole step, all the steps and all the processes.
So that was turnkeyphilly.com, TURNKEYPHILLY.com.
That's great. And listen, when you buy a property from us, you get a cool shirt like this too. So.
Oh yeah, okay. And I get one for doing the interview, right?
There we go. Exactly.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate it, Josh. I really appreciate you coming on today. And obviously, our listeners know who we are. Ian Walsh from Hard Money Bankers. You can go on Facebook, Hard Money Bankers PA. Find us there, like us there. You can email me anytime you want, Ian at Hard Money Bankers. I hope everybody learned a lot today and took away a lot from Josh. He's got a ton of experience, and obviously, you can reach out to him. And appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Josh.
See ya.